I think it's going to happen. I don't know. I have a good feeling about it. I think it's going to happen, although I've been wrong about a lot of things lately, so it may not happen. Look, it's going to happen sometime today. It may not be the first vote, but eventually, we're going to have a Speaker of the House of Representatives. And this is a lot easier because, look, there's nobody running against this guy. Donald Trump has endorsed him. We have a couple holdouts, sure, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's a Friday. Monday's a big day. This is different than what happened with Kevin McCarthy 2 years ago. And I'll explain everything here in just a minute. I have the live stream going. I think I have the live. So let me just. They're doing the convocation right now. I don't want to dip in on that because then I'd feel the need to be quiet and pray. And I know that, well, maybe, all right, well, we'll do that in a minute. But what's going to happen is now that the 118th Congress has been gavelled out and the 119th Congress has been gavelled in, the first order of business always, before anyone is even sworn in. And this is what's really interesting. In fact, all right, you know what? I'll go ahead and bring it up. So what you see here is, we can bow our heads and pray because they're praying. What we see here is we see all the members of Congress, and they're there in the arena in the House of Representatives. They're there at the Capitol building, and there's going to be a convocation, and then there's going to, after the Rear Admiral Margaret Kibben, retired, is giving the convocation right now. And what's going to happen after that is there's going to be the vote for Speaker. But here's the thing. All of these Congress people, especially the freshman Congress people, the first time Congress people. And I talked to my good buddy Aaron Bean about this. And this is what happens. You bring in your family. You fly them up to DC. You're like, hey, everybody, let's come to Congress. You can watch, mama or daddy or whoever it is, whatever your relationship is to the person. You can watch them get sworn in as a congressperson. In fact, if I run for Congress in 2 years to unseat Representative John Rutherford, boo, from Florida's 5th District, if that happens and I happen to win by some miraculous stroke of, oh, there he is. They just showed him on screen. It's like they heard me talking about him and he had like I guess that could be his granddaughter, maybe his great granddaughter. Dude is kind of old. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But you fly the family in and they're all there for you. And it's a monumental occasion. And what they do is they make it seem, or that what happens is they do this thing where all the family comes in, and what happens is they get to sit there and they get to watch and they get to see everything that's going on, and they get to, be part of the festivities. And I think there's probably like a picnic or something I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know anything about the picnic. I'm just assuming there's like a picnic. And so what happens is the family comes in and they're expecting that this is going to be pretty quick. They're like, oh, it's going to be quick. They're going to swear you in and then we're going to go to the picnic. But last time around with Kevin McCarthy, it took 15 rounds and 4 days. 15 rounds and 4 days. And so what you have sometimes is you have a situation where maybe the family sticks around for a week. Maybe the family has to stick around a little longer than they thought they were going to. Maybe the family is like, oh, wait a minute. It didn't happen on the first go round. What do you mean there's going to be 15 votes? So all of a sudden, what happens is you have this situation where the families are doing an extended vacation and they're spending a lot more time in Congress than they ever wanted to. So this live vote is going to be happening here in any minute now. Let me pull it back up for you so that we can take a look. Live vote's going to be happening here. We hope any minute now. Well, listen, you can see people are meandering around, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna file out the families, put them back in the gallery. Oh, there's Nancy Pelosi. She made it. She did a cringy video on the plane yesterday. I don't know why she thought she was gonna. I don't know what the purpose of that cringy video was, but it was basically Nancy Pelosi on a plane. I assume it was first class, but I'm not really sure. A lot of Congress people do that. They take pictures of themselves on the plane. They take video of themselves on the plane because they want to seem like they're real people and they're not in these private fancy jets. But look, Nancy Pelosi, she's gonna be flying private. After that one little episode, she's going to be flying private from here on out. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is after the first vote, and it's a precarious position. It really is. So here's basically the deal. Thomas Massie from Kentucky's 4th district, I believe. Thomas Massie from Kentucky is the one single solitary holdout that we know of. Not saying there's not more. There could be more. There's always, I mean, last time there were 8 holdouts for Kevin McCarthy, but there's one holdout that we know of who's declared he will never. In fact, he was on with Matt Gaetz. By the way, Matt Gaetz has a TV show now. Don't forget about that. It's been a whirlwind. Matt Gaetz went from being a congressperson for Florida's 1st District to being the Attorney General nominee for President Donald Trump's 2nd term, to not being the Attorney General nominee for President Trump's 2nd term, to being an OAN host. And he had his first show last night. He had quite the lineup.
Tonight on the Matt Gaetz Show, the battle for the gavel is heating up with a group of GOP holdouts putting a snag in Speaker Mike Johnson's plans. We'll have Representatives Lauren Boebert, Thomas Massie, and Victoria Spartz on to discuss what they expect for Friday's critical vote. Plus, deadly attacks strike New Orleans and the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. We'll have retired Army Colonel and DoD Intel operative Tony Shaffer and retired CIA officer Sam Faddis on for a closer look into what's behind New Year's terror. See you at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific.
By the way, I think the background's a little too. I like it. He sounded good. His delivery was good. I like this, but he's got a lot of dark hair. I think he needs a lighter background. I don't know if we can do anything about it. I don't like the nighttime. I don't like the nighttime background. Maybe we could lighten that. I'll text him later. I'll be like, hey, dude, you see, I don't have that problem. Look, I have no hair and I have a big white head. So when that's why I have a dark background. If I had a light background, it would be the opposite. You wouldn't see me at all. Now that's why I keep the dark background dark, dimly lit. I don't want my head to disappear into. And it doesn't matter about me. It's neither here nor there. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can't even see my head anyway. So you totally don't even care. But Thomas Massie was on with Matt Gaetz, and Matt Gaetz said to him and said, "Look, are you going to vote for Speaker Johnson?" And listen to what he said.
If Chip Roy were asked to serve as chairman of the Rules Committee, would that be enough to get your vote for Mike Johnson?
Oh, no. You can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank. Who
are you voting for, Matt? Thomas? Who are you voting for?
And no comment. By the way, I want to, and again, I don't.
If Chip Roy were.
Oh, hold on. I don't like to talk about people's appearances, but what the heck's going on with Thomas Massie here? Look at this guy. He's got his shirt's all wrinkled. He's got no tie. He hasn't shaved in like a week and a half. His glasses are gone. Usually he wears glasses. It looks like his cheek's all red. I don't know if I don't know. I mean, he's from Kentucky, so that could just be that could be the bourbon glow. Who knows? And his hair always looks like that, so I'm not going to comment that. But it's amazing. I guess he's been in a lot of meetings. He's probably been on the phone a lot with people. Maybe he had a couple of altercations with some MAGA Republicans or maybe Donald Trump himself. Who knows? But he basically said, what was it? He said you could pull out my fingernails.
If Chip Roy were asked to serve as chairman of the Rules Committee, would that be enough to get your vote for Mike Johnson?
Oh, no. You can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank.
Who are you voting for, Thomas? Who are you voting for?
That seems really drastic. Also, if you rip out the fingernails, you can't shove bamboo up under them. So I guess it's like an either or. I guess he's saying either rip off my fingernails, or shove bamboo up them. You can't do both. Or I guess you could. Well, technically, if you did it in the opposite order, I guess you could shove the bamboo up there first and then rip them off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's not voting for Mike Johnson, but Mike Johnson can still win. There's 219 Congress people that are voting today if they all show up. And I haven't heard that anyone's not going to be there. I haven't heard that anyone, missed their flight, or, they got COVID, or they're having an emergency, colonoscopy. I don't know what kind of, you probably don't have an emergency call. I guess you could, especially if you're one of the older members of Congress. But look, I haven't heard anything about anyone not being there. And once they get there, they will start the roll call vote. It takes a while because there's 400 and some odd Congress people in there. They all have to vote. Even the Democrats have to vote. We have to listen to them all yell out Hakeem Jeffries or Jeffrey, whatever it is. And then the Republicans are going to go through and they're going to vote, probably a lot of them, for Johnson, because no one else has really shown any interest or desire to run. They've all just kind of assumed Mike Johnson was the guy, except for Thomas Massie. But there could be more holdouts. We know for a fact that, Andy Biggs, who else? Chip Roy himself, Nancy Mace, there's a whole bunch of people that could vote against Mike Johnson. He only needs 2 votes against him to throttle the speakership on the first vote. Only 2. He's already got 1. Old fingernails Massie fingernail. Oh, bamboo shoots under the fingernails. Massey isn't going to vote for Mike Johnson at all. He's a never Johnson guy. He's the first one. And if anyone else crosses the line and says, no way, Jose, then that's it. He's cooked, and there's going to be at least one more vote. Now, I was talking to Aaron Bean yesterday, congressman from Florida's 4th District, and he said he expects there to be at least 2 votes. He doesn't expect this thing to go as smoothly. Matt Gaetz this morning was all up on X saying, oh, this is going to, mark my words, this is going to go quick. In fact, what is it he said? He said he was real. I mean, he's not in the Congress anymore, but he seems pretty confident that Here it is. Matt Gaetz wrote, Mike Johnson will be elected speaker today on the first vote. People might like or dislike that. I'm just reporting the news, because that's what he does now. He's a news reporter with a very dark background. So Matt Gaetz, and Matt Gaetz has a lot of friends in Congress. He was in Congress up until a couple weeks ago, and he knows what's up. He knows the people there. He's probably talked to them. He's probably connected with them. Probably has like a text thread going on with all these folks. And he said, mark my words, this will happen on the first vote. And Lisa McClain has also said, you know what? President Trump wants Mike Johnson to be our speaker. President Trump wants a speaker in place before Monday because, well, that's when we've got to certify these electoral votes. That's when we've got to make sure Donald Trump's going to be the next president of the United States. And she was on, I want to say it was Fox News, probably. And she reiterated that. Look, Donald Trump called the play.
Johnson is sounding confident as well. He says he thinks he's going to win this thing in round number 1. So do you agree with him? Does this get done in the very first round?
I sure hope so. He is an absolute proven leader in, he was given this daunting task, and he's done a very good job of navigating the waters. He has a very different approach, though. It's a very bottom-up approach. And like you said earlier, we have narrow margins, but he's done a remarkable job. He's strong. He's an honest broker, and he listens. It might get, it might be a little messy out there, but at the end of the day, that's people airing their grievances and talking about what they want to see the conference improve. And that's really what we want, is that bottom-up approach. I'm confident, cautiously optimistic maybe, that we'll get it done on the first round. But listen, President Trump gave Speaker Johnson his full and unconditional endorsement. The coaches called the play. Let's run the play. Let's get to work.
Okay. So, by the way, she's so Michigan, isn't she? I have the utmost confidence that this is going to happen. And what's a bottoms-up approach? Does that mean that sounds like they're doing shots. Bottoms up, bottoms up. Ooh, that's what I think of when I think bottoms up. But anyway, so Mike Johnson's got a bottoms-up approach, and Lisa McClain, who, by the way, took over for Elise Stefanik as the conference chairwoman, she says, look, Donald Trump called the play. We've just got to run the ball. You can tell she's from Michigan. She likes all those football references, and she's not wrong. Donald Trump did call the play. He wrote, in fact, on Truth Social today, just a couple hours ago, 8:18 a.m. Good luck today for Speaker Mike Johnson, a fine man of great ability, who is very close to having 100% support. A win for Mike today will be a big win for the Republican Party, and yet another acknowledgement of our 120-year most consequential presidential election. A big affirmation indeed. MAGA. So Donald Trump doubling down on a little bit of Mike Johnson, doubling down on his support for the speaker, and saying we need to make sure that this goes through today. We need to make sure that we have the votes today. We need to make sure that, oh, there's Mike Johnson playing with John Rutherford's great-grandchild. That is just, God, he looks so old. I don't know. You know what? It's bad when Nancy Pelosi looks younger than you, and John Rutherford looks older than Nancy Pelosi. So yeah, anyway, we'll hopefully that's the last time we'll have to see John Rutherford on C-SPAN for a speaker vote, because like I got 2 years to plan and fundraise and figure out if it's something a viable option. But well, anyway, we'll see what happens. So Speaker Johnson's got support of the conference chairwoman. He's got support of the President of the United States. Marjorie Taylor Greene threw her support behind him, and she's been a vocal critic, a very vocal critic of Mike Johnson and just about everybody else. I mean, some people call her Congressional Karen for a reason, but she's the vocal critic of a lot of people. And now she's supporting Speaker Johnson for the speakership. So that is, look, it all comes down to this at the end of the day. Do you want to make sure, because there's no other option. This isn't like the last speaker battle where Jim Jordan was one viable option, but a lot of people didn't like him, especially John Rutherford, because Matt Gaetz would have won. And so they had a couple of other folks. Steve Scalise was like, well, maybe I'll run for speaker, but then Steve Scalise couldn't whip up the number of votes that he needed. So Steve Scalise had to bow out. And then you had a couple of other folks up in there. Byron Donalds got like 10 or 20 votes at one point, and then he bowed out. Anyway, it all ended up with Mike Johnson. It's not like that now. There's no other viable alternative. There's no other candidate up there saying me. There's nobody out there, as far as we know, trying to whip up the votes. So we're going to see. We're just going to have to see how this one. We're just going to have to see how this one turns out, and we will see how that turns out here in just a minute. Like I said, we're watching. They're still meandering around, saying hello to each other. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene's there. She's wearing white. She's wearing like a lovely winter white. Let me see if I can show you that quickly, because she kind of looks like the Snow Queen. Snow Queen, Ice Queen. She's gone. Anyway, so what's going to happen is they're going to clear out the concourse there. They're going to clear out the area, and then they'll bring back just the elected representatives, and they'll begin the battle for the speakership. Mike Johnson versus the world. Hopefully Thomas Massey was able to clean himself up a bit. Maybe put on a tie. Maybe, fix his hair. Anyway, while we wait for that, a couple of other interesting things happened yesterday that I wanted to bring to your attention. You probably know about them. But one of them was regarding Liz Cheney. I mentioned to you yesterday how Liz Cheney was getting a big award. A big award. No, not a leg lamp. Not like the big award from a Christmas. It's a major award. Yeah, I won it. See? Now it's a Fragile. It must be Italian. Not that kind of major award. She got the Congressional, not Medal of Honor, Citizenship Award or something like that. And it was given to her by Joe Biden because basically she lied on the January 6th committee. She stabbed her entire party and her president and her constituents in the back. She basically rolled the entire Republican Party over with a bus. And she sided with the Democrats. She went against her president. She went against her district. She went against the people of Wyoming. She pushed propaganda on the American people and pretended that it was actual truthful testimony. And then when all that failed, she ran with Kamala Harris, supported Kamala Harris in her run for president. So she wouldn't even support her own party's presidential candidate. All of this was happening. All of this was going on. And I'll tell you what, man, it seems like somebody should not get a medal for that. Unless, of course, she's getting it from a Democrat. And so yesterday at the White House, Liz Cheney showed up, rolled in, and she received her award and got thunderous applause. Now, if you're a Republican, quote unquote, and you're the daughter of Dick, she's the daughter of a former vice president of the United States of America, Republican vice president of the United States of America. If you're a Republican and you're daughter of Dick, and you walk into the White House and get thunderous applause from a bunch of Democrats, you may not actually be as Republican as you think.
Cheney for putting the American people over party.
Now, this is where it gets awkward. See, he grabs her hand. Joe Biden grabs her hand. He's got a hold of her left hand there. He's handing her the medal with the other hand. And she goes to move, and he yanks her backward. He won't let go of her hand. He's holding her hand for a creepily long time. And when she tries to move, he yanks her back, still holding her hand, giving her the medal, now whispering something to her. People are standing up. She's getting a standing ovation. She's trying to get away from this creepy old dude. And finally, he releases his grip on her, and she gets to go back to her.
J. Dodd
gets to go back to her seat.
Carrying the torch of public service.
Yeah, and then Chris Dodd gets it. But listen to that. I mean, they're giving her this award for picking people over party. The United States of America over party, which is not at all what she did. She chose herself over party. And they give her a standing, look, she's getting, here we go, clap, clap, clap. And then there's a standing ovation. Again, I'm telling you, if you go into the White House, not just any White House, but the Joe Biden White House. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., the man who weaponized the entire federal government, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the DOJ, the IRS, the SEC, all these, whatever agency he could find. Joe Biden weaponized every single agency against his number one adversary, Donald Trump. And in doing so, weaponized the Department of Justice against, about 76, 77 million people who supported Donald Trump, and weaponized the Department of Justice and the FBI against Catholics and parents and all kinds of innocent Americans, protesters at January 6th, all of these people. And he's giving her an award. If you get an award from a guy like that, and everybody that thinks he's a cool dude stands up and applauds you, you're doing something wrong. If I walked into that room, I would want to be booed. If I walked into that room, I would want to be booed. I would want people to hiss at me. I would want people to throw tomatoes at me. That's how you know you're doing something right. If you walk into the Joe Biden White House and they call security and they throw you out, that's how you know you're doing something right. If you walk in there as a Republican and you're welcomed and you're brought up on stage and you're given an award, you get a standing ovation, dude, you are not a Republican. You have descended into fully into the dark side, and you've been overtaken by the dark side of the force. The dark side overtook him. I mean, that's rule number one. That's rule. You want to make sure that when you're looking around, you see the people. And if it's people like Joe Biden, if it's people like Jake Sullivan, if it's people like anyone in the Democrat Party, then you don't want their praise. You don't want their affection. You don't want them to honor you. You want them to despise you, because if they do, it means you're really fighting for the United States of America. All right, we're going to get back to Congress here in just a minute. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to share with you. There was one, speaking of despicable Democrats, Alejandro Mayorkas. Alejandro Mayorkas was on with that guy. What's his name? Wolf Blitzer. That's right, on CNN. Wolf Blitzer on CNN was interviewing Alejandro Mayorkas, and he brought up, wouldn't you know it, an actual official memorandum from the Department of Homeland Security, of which Alejandro Mayorkas is still the secretary. And this official memorandum, guess what it did? Guess. Can you guess? You want to guess? Can you guess? Guess what you'll never guess. I'll tell you. This official memorandum stated that there would be the potential for terrorist activity on New Year's Eve in major cities involving vehicular ramming, meaning the Department of Homeland Security issued a warning to all of these cities saying people could ram large crowds of people on New Year's Eve. You should probably be wary of that. And listen to Alejandro Mayorkas' reaction when Wolf Blitzer brought that to his attention.
What I keep hearing, it's very interesting. You're the Secretary of Homeland Security. CNN has obtained a joint bulletin from the Department of Homeland Security warning of lone offender attacks coming up, specifically mentioning the potential use of vehicle ramming. That bulletin came out and was sent around the country to cities and states warning of this potential danger. Did New Orleans screw up, basically, not pay attention to that warning?
I don't think that's fair to say, Wolf. That wouldn't be a fair conclusion to draw. That was not our first bulletin with respect to the threat of the lone offender. The perpetrator of the terrorist attack yesterday in New Orleans was an Army veteran, a U.S.-born citizen. We have spoken now for about 10 years about the phenomenon of an individual resident in the United States radicalized to violence by a foreign terrorist ideology or other ideologies. We're speaking of a veteran here. Local officials do the best they can in securing the well-being of their residents. We work very closely with our state and local partners.
The FBI.
So there you go. That's Alejandro Mayorkas saying, hey, it's not a fair assessment to say that New Orleans screwed up, although it may be a fair assessment to say New Orleans screwed up because there were various barricades that were supposed to be put in place or that were available to be put in place that weren't put in place. They weren't put in place until after the attack, which is, I think too late. I think you want to do it before the attack. And Alejandro Mayorkas is like, it's not a fair assessment. What's even worse is that we've been sending these memos for 10 years. So what? They figured after 10 years of sending these dangerous warnings about crowds of people potentially being rammed by lone wolf terrorists, you thought, I guess it hasn't happened in 10 years. We'll let our guard down. The whole system needs to be overhauled. Everything needs to be overhauled. Everything needs to be looked at. New Orleans has a very interesting leadership in their local law enforcement. Again, I don't live in New Orleans. I don't make those decisions. I don't do the hiring. I didn't vote for the mayor. I don't know what's going on in New Orleans. They're doing them. But it seems like change is going to come, or at least change should come, at least at the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, you've got Kristi Noem, who we desperately need. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. Mike Waltz was talking about how quickly we need to have everybody. We need all of these people in place. We need every single person in place on day one. Why? Because Donald Trump has an agenda, and we need serious people who are not distracted by DEI or woke policy initiatives, we need people that are focused on the eye and the prize, which is making America safe again, making America strong again. And that needs to happen on day one.
Number one, that external plotting versus internal radicalization, how that happened. Number two, I find it an amazing coincidence, but I don't think it is a coincidence that you had two attacks renting from the same site, both veterans, you could have a more radicalized and broader cell. Don't forget, you also had an Afghan that was stopped from making election day attacks. So this is why getting President Trump's cabinet in is so important. We need Governor Noem at DHS. We need Kash Patel at FBI. We need Pete Hegseth at DOD. This is an across-the-government look. Marco Rubio at State, and, of course, Ratcliffe at CIA, and Tulsi Gabbard at DNI. That has to be in place day one, guys, because this is a moment in transition of vulnerability, and President Trump is going to project, because he is a leader of strength, the narrative that we project on day one will be just important, and that's having our people in place.
And that is a process that begins here in just a few minutes, because in order to have our people in place on day one, we've got to have our president in place on day one. And in order for our president to be in place on day one, the Electoral College votes need to be verified and certified on January 6th, which is Monday. And in order for that to happen, we need the House of Representatives in session. And in order for the House of Representatives to be in session, we need a Speaker of the House soon, like ASAP. And like I said, we're watching, we're monitoring, we're seeing what's happening. It looks like, oh, yep, they're still milling around. Everyone's still shaking his hand. Oh, good luck, man. Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Mike Johnson, it must be the most awkward position to be the Speaker of the House, to know that you're about to be hopefully reelected Speaker of the House, but that there's a couple people out there, you don't even know who they are. You know one of them, but there could be others who are going to be holdouts as well. And you're just standing around looking, wondering, who's it going to be? Who's going to hold this whole thing up? Who's going to be the fly in the ointment? Who's going to gum up the works today? And everyone's coming up to you and talking to you, and they're all wishing you good luck, man. Oh, thanks, man. I need it. Yeah, I know. Hey, I have to listen. No matter what happens, Beth, we'll all go for beers later. Yeah, no problem. The bottoms up approach, remember. Bottoms up approach. Anyway, like I said, we're going to follow along with that. In the meantime, I do want to take a quick minute to remind you that we are live every single day, Monday through Friday. We have a lot of other great content that we bring you from our Kaye Saves the Republic. So you should definitely subscribe to this channel. In fact, we've been doing a couple of really, really cool things. We've taken our YouTube channel specifically, and we'll do this on others as well, and we've created different playlists and different areas of interest. For example, we have the 47 Daily Podcast, which is available on iTunes and Google, and not Google Play, the other one, Spotify, all the other places you can get it. That's also on our YouTube channel. It has its own subsection. We have, of course, ACE's content now. The American Conservative Empowerment Society has their own subsection. So if you're interested in those kinds of things where you're a conservative and you want to be empowered and you want to make the most of your life and you want to learn all the secrets about how these conservatives are doing amazing things without getting canceled or doxxed or deterred or whatever, we've got a whole section for that. And then, of course, we've just got a bunch of fun, exciting news videos and whatnot. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to our Rumble page. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you're subscribing, because the content comes in every single day. And also, we want to make sure that we're able to continue, and we're only able to continue with help from our sponsors. And one of them is Colonial Metals Group, who has just been outstanding to us over the last year. And if you're like, hey, you know what? I really love your show. I love watching it every day. Colonial Metals Group is one of the reasons why. They have a free gold guide that they'll give you for free. And all you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/K. It's actually, there's a link in the description of this video on Rumble and I think Facebook, really pretty much everywhere. And if you click on that link, you can put your name and your email address in there. They'll send you a free gold guide. You can learn all about securing your financial future with gold, why gold and silver is a much better safeguard than just traditional cash or even crypto, how to protect and grow your retirement savings with a gold IRA, how to use an IRS loophole to protect your financial future right now, how to simplify and safeguard your retirement tax-free and penalty-free. All these great things that you can do with your free gold and silver guide. And like I said, it's easy to get. Just go to freegoldguide.com/KAYE. It's my last name. freegoldguide.com/K. And check it out. Maybe you want to invest, maybe you don't, but either way, check it out. And if you're interested in any kind of gold IRA, Colonial Metals Group is the official gold IRA sponsor of Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. So hats off to them. And we do appreciate their support, and they would appreciate it if you supported them as well. All right, let's get back to it, shall we? So as we, I'm just going to pull this up because this could happen now at any minute. They call it opening day. All right, so what's going to happen now is, again, we're going to roll through the entire, there's going to be an entire, roll call vote. They're going to start with, I guess, the A's. I don't even know. I have to pull up the list. There's a whole list of like who's who, but they're going to start with the A's, and they'll go to the B's, and then they'll go to the C's, and, throughout the alphabet. And everybody's just going to yell out the name of the person they think should be Speaker of the House of Representatives. We expect all of the Democrats are just going to yell out Hakeem Jeffries. We expect that's going to happen. That's usually what happens. All of the Democrats just yell out Jeffries or Hakeem Jeffries or one of the some formation of Hakeem Jeffries. We expect the majority of the Republicans will call out Johnson or Mike Johnson. But Thomas Massie, we don't know what he's going to say. We know he's not going to say Mike Johnson because, fingernails. But we don't know what he's going to say. We don't know whose name he's going to pick. And the other thing that could happen is, again, keep in mind, you don't need to be a House of Representatives member or an elected representative in the House of Representatives to be the Speaker of the House. And last time around, that's why Matt Gaetz called out Donald Trump. They got him about. They could call out Elon Musk. That's been something that's been under consideration. Vivek Ramaswamy, any of these characters could be Speaker of the House of Representatives if they get the requisite 218 votes. We expect sometime today, Mike Johnson will get the vote, but probably not on the first turn. And that's what I was talking to a couple of my representatives. Aaron Bean, I spoke with yesterday, was text messaging with a couple of others. But look, he said he knows he's got a pretty good finger on the pulse of what's going on. He's been there for a couple of years. And he said, look, last time around, he had this great analogy. He goes, imagine, if you will, you have 219 people that are all going out to dinner, and you all have to decide on a restaurant. He goes, imagine that. Wouldn't that be? And I said, that's an interesting point. Of course, in this case, there's only a certain number of restaurants you can go to. But he said that's kind of what it's like. And you need to get with this slim a margin, he needs something like 99.8% of the vote when you do the actual math. I haven't actually done the math, but it's 2 votes. One vote is all he can lose. If he loses 2, he's cooked. And that's where we stand. That's where we are today with this first go round. Now, in the second vote, it's going to be the same way. But usually the way it works is, and if you remember this from 2 years ago, when Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy started to wheel and deal and negotiate, there was some back and forth. They disperse. They go to their backroom deals. Somebody gets an angry phone call from Donald Trump. Oh, look, they're showing Chip Roy. Speaking of angry phone calls, Chip Roy from Texas sitting in the back room. He's waiting. He's just waiting patiently for his turn to get up. We don't know. He's not committed to Mike Johnson. He's spoken out against Mike Johnson. He hasn't come out specifically to say he's, you got to rip his fingernails off or cut his pinky toe like Thomas Massie did. But he doesn't seem very happy about the entire situation. Oh, they're gaveling. Hold on. Let me turn on the volume here for just a second.
Jeffries, that's 215, which is more than 214. So then how those folks choose to vote, if at all, matters.
They're gaveling.
Matt Green of Catholic University, we'll come back to you. Let's go to the House.
Mumble, 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 rumble, rumble. It's amazing. They gavel and nobody really seems to pay attention.
Are there additional representatives elect in the chamber who wish to record their presence?
So that's the thing. There are representative.
If not, all time has expired.
There are representative members elect.
433 representatives-elect have recorded their presence. A quorum is present.
Yay.
Credentials, regular and form, have been received showing the election of the Honorable Pablo Jose Hernandez Rivera as resident commissioner from the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico for a term of 4 years beginning January 3rd, 2025. The Honorable Eleanor Holmes Norton as delegate from the District of Columbia. The Honorable James C. Moylan as delegate from Guam.
Okay, so they're going through the delegates and the commissioners. Now, the former delegate from Puerto Rico, or as Tony Hinchcliffe calls it, the floating island of trash, or garbage, pardon me. The representative from Puerto Rico resigned because I think she became the governor of Puerto Rico. She ran and won something, so now they have a new representative from Puerto Rico. So there's 433 representatives elect because nobody right now is a representative. The 118th Congress was gavelled out this morning. And when the 118th Congress was gavelled out, all of a sudden, boom, no representatives until a speaker is elected, and then they can swear everybody in. So this is, of course, the first order of the day. But 433 people, that's a quorum. It seems like, if I recall, that seems like everybody. That means we're only missing two, yeah.
Of the Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress. Nominations are now in order. The clerk recognizes the gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. McLean.
All right, this is where they're going to nominate. She's going to give a little speech. She's going to nominate Mike Johnson. She's going to talk like a Michigander again.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and thank you, colleagues.
Mr.
Clerk, as the chair of the Republican Conference, I am directed by the vote of that conference to present for election to the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress the name of the Honorable Mike Johnson, a representative from the state of Louisiana.
All right, so there we go. So he's officially been nominated by Lisa McLean. And there he is. He's like, oh, shucks. He's giving the aw shucks. People are standing up and clapping. He's like, oh, come on, guys. Whatever. Anyway, so they're showing Mike Johnson now, and she's going to give a speech. This is tradition. And this happens, by the way, every single round.
Welcome, everybody.
All right, we'll listen to it.
I am optimistic about our future. On November 5th, the American people gave us a great opportunity to get America back on the right track. They gave us an opportunity to get back to normal and to get back to the real issues that the country faces right now. People want the opportunity to take care of their families. They simply want to provide for their children and give them a prosperous future.
Okay, she's being very dramatic. I will say this, though. You may remember that every single time, because after this, then the Democrats are going to get to nominate their person. They're going to get to nominate Hakeem Jeffries, and they're going to give a similar speech about how on November 5th, something horrible happened, and we need to elect somebody who's strong enough to fight back against this monstrous evil that's returning to the White House in the form of Donald Trump. So, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what's going to happen. And then, they're standing. What did she say? Hold on, she said something. They're applauding her. They're giving her a big standing ovation. She must have said something about Donald Trump, and that's why they're all standing. But this happens every time. So if we don't get a speaker this round, there's going to be another speech just like this.
America first again.
Oh, they're standing up again for that. So hopefully, again, if you don't like speeches, hopefully this is a one-rounder.
An opportunity to do something about crime. We have an opportunity to do something about the border. And we have an opportunity to take care of our veterans. We and every single member in this chamber and those of you watching at home and on TV should be looking forward, knowing that America will be respected again. Our country is the last bastion of hope. If we fail, then who? This is why we are focused on the issues that the majority of Americans care about: God, family, country, faith, freedom, and traditional American values.
I'm telling you, that strong Michigan accent. God. Smoking or non? Hello, would you like smoking or non? Oh, thank you, God.
And we should be making it easier for people to achieve the American dream. Over 14 months ago, Mike Johnson took on a daunting task. No speaker is perfect, and no one will ever be.
No speaker is perfect.
However, achieving perfection requires incremental gains and hard decisions along the way. None of us will get exactly what we want. The fundamental collective goal of this body is to make progress for the American people in which we represent. And we have done just that under Mike's leadership. We should be celebrating and building upon his efforts, our efforts. Mike has remained the same kind and caring person as he was before he assumed this role. He's an honest broker. He shows you his true beliefs at face value. He is steadfast in his values of faith, family, and love of this country. He knows our brightest days are still ahead of us, and I do too. I am hopeful for the next Congress. I am optimistic that we will focus on those issues that people truly care about. I know Mike will be an integral part of this country's comeback. He will lead us through another successful Republican majority. As chairwoman of the Unified House Republican Conference, I can say proudly that we are ready to govern.
All right. By the way, when Elise Stefanik stepped down because, oh no, what happened? Where did it go? It just disappeared. When Elise Stefanik, that's weird. Uh-oh, I'm getting throttled. They don't see, something happened to C-SPAN. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Let me go back to it. I think I got it here. Here we go. All right, so, well, we missed the end of her speech, but basically it was like, rah, rah, go Mike. Mike, he's our man. If he can't do it, well, I don't know who's going to do it. Anyway, so that was basically the speech. Mike Johnson has now been officially nominated. He's bowing down to the people there in the Congress. They're all applauding him. That's very nice. And now they're going to
recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar.
Oh, boo.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Oh, they're cheering for Aguilar. Anyway, what I was going to say was when Elise Stefanik left Congress to go serve in the administration of Donald Trump, what happened is they had a vote and Kat Cammack was up against Lisa McClain, but they told Kat Cammack, you're not going to be able to do it because...
a name and nomination, but first, I want to acknowledge my colleague from Michigan for her heartfelt and personal nominating speech. As someone who's given a few of these, I can say you served your conference well, Representative McClain.
And McClain beat out Kat Cammack because Kat Cammack was against earmarks. And apparently, if you're against earmarks, you don't go anywhere.
Today I rise on behalf of the governing majority of the House of Representatives.
That's not really a thing, but okay. Whatever you say, Jose. I don't think it's Jose.
The American people have sent a strong message that they want their elected leaders working together to tackle the affordability crisis. There is only one leader in this chamber with a track record of compromise, conviction, and compassion. There is only one leader who understands the needs of the working people and has lived the American dream himself and is committed to ensuring its promise for future generations.
And also who likes to rap.
There's only one leader who knows how to negotiate a bipartisan deal and then stick to that deal. House Democrats are united behind the most powerful legislative leader in this chamber, Hakeem Jeffries of Brooklyn.
Now that's a dig at Mike Johnson, because basically they're saying he has more power than Mike Johnson does. He has more power than the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And in a way, when you look at the last piece of legislation that got rammed through, they may not be too far off, which is why a lot of people were against Mike Johnson coming back to power.
House Democrats, under the leadership of Hakeem Jeffries, are committed to bipartisanship and common sense solutions to America's most pressing challenges. In the face of chaos and dysfunction over the last 2 years, our caucus has kept the government funded, kept our allies protected, and the economy secured from the catastrophic default. In the 119th Congress, we will work with the incoming administration to make life better, safer, and more affordable for working families.
They will? I don't know about that.
And the incoming administration must also recognize that while my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are divided, and while compromise remains a dirty word for so many, Congress won't be able to keep the lights on, let alone pass anything of substance, without the buy-in and blessing of House Democrats and Hakeem Jeffries.
Dig. See, this is interesting, because you'll notice that Lisa McClain didn't make any digs on the Democrats in her speech. She just talked about Speaker Johnson and Donald Trump. But Pete Aguilar is digging at the other side.
Democrats want to bring down the cost of living. That's what they do. Build more housing and lower the cost of everyday items like food, medicine, and childcare. Even as the extreme rhetoric rises in this chamber and in the public square, we will not stop advocating for the policies that do the most good for the most people. Because of Hakeem's leadership, we will never abandon our values or sacrifice our bedrock principles of freedom and democracy. When America's enemies abroad threatened our democratic ally, Ukraine, when terrorists attacked our strongest ally, Israel, it was Hakeem Jeffries and House Democrats who delivered the votes and stood tall for America's national security.
They're talking about how the Democrats are the...
When the least, the lost, and the left behind were threatened with devastating cuts, Hakeem Jeffries stood with America's mothers, children, and veterans.
I just
when
texted
the incoming administration
because she's tweeting,
wanted to raise the debt limit by trillions of dollars.
I said, I see you texting. She goes, I'm actually tweeting.
For the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected.
And then she said something that I'm not going to read.
Leaving middle-class families
that's very funny.
To pay for the bill and leaving them high and dry. Hakeem Jeffries didn't just say no. He said,
hell no.
That's why there is only one true candidate today for Speaker. So, Mr. Clerk, I am honored to rise today at the direction of the House Democratic Caucus to place into nomination for election to the position of Speaker of the House of Representatives, the pride of Brooklyn, the gentleman from New York, Hakeem Jeffries.
Yay. All right, so that's it. That was a shorter speech than I thought it was going to be, so thank God for that. All right, so now we've got our nominees. We've got Mike Johnson, we've got Hakeem Jeffries, and then, but that doesn't, here's the thing. You can vote for anybody. It doesn't have to be one of those two nominees, and that's where it's going to get interesting. That's where we're going to see who is Thomas Massie going to vote for? Who are these Democrats going to vote for? There was some talk at one time that some Democrats might bail out Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson, a representative-elect from the state of Louisiana, and the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, a representative-elect from the state of New York, have been placed in nomination. Are there further nominations? There being no further nominations,
Okay, good.
the clerk appoints the following tellers. The gentleman from North Carolina, Ms. Fox. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Morelli. The gentleman from...
Okay, anyway, so now they're appointing the tellers. Basically, what's going to happen now is they're going to roll through, like I said, the entire list of names.
Take their seats at the desk
and
in front of
everybody is going to vote. It's not a private vote. It's not one of those ones where they hit the button. It's one of those votes where they have to go through the entire roll call and everybody has to yell out. Oh, there's kids there. Everyone has to yell out the name of the person that they're voting for, and it doesn't have to be Mike Johnson, and it doesn't have to be Hakeem Jeffries. It can be any person they want, because again, they don't have to be elected officials. And you may remember this from 2 years ago. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Hakeem Jeffries has forever and a day wanted to be Speaker of the House of Representatives. And the Democrats have tried to do everything they can. There have been some comments, and like I said, there's been some speculation that, let's say, for example, we know Thomas Massey's not going to vote for Mike Johnson. Let's say there's, I don't know, one or two others that jump ship. Let's say there's two others that jump ship. The Democrats could push him over the edge, because again, it doesn't matter who votes for you as long as you get to 218. It could be 215 Republicans and 3 Democrats. Let me check my math. Yep, that's 218. Congratulations, you're Speaker of the House. It could be 200 Republicans and 18 Democrats. Let me carry the one. Yep, that means that you're Speaker of the House of Representatives. And there was talk of that happening, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think, even though Mike Johnson has done some things legislatively that actually help benefit the Democrats, even though that's the case, I don't think that's going to happen, because the Democrats like chaos. They like chaos on the Republican side. They like to say the Republicans are divided. They like to say that they're out of control. They like to say all those things because that helps them seem like they're more, united. And then, of course, they'll go out and they'll fundraise. What's going to happen if this vote doesn't go through? If this vote doesn't go through, what's going to happen is you're going to see the Democrats immediately send out campaign letters, send out, emails, send out text messages. Please donate to my campaign. Please donate. The Republicans are out of control. This is going to be the worst 2 years. This Congress is already deadlocked. We need change in Washington, and it starts today. So any kind of turmoil on the Republican side of the aisle, any vote that doesn't go through with a speaker chosen, is going to be a feather in the cap of the Democrats. And the longer that, and that's another reason why we were kind of hoping that the Republicans would get all their ducks in a row beforehand. Because if the Republicans get all their ducks in a row beforehand, if they walk into the chamber knowing who's going to vote which way and how this vote is going to turn out, then they don't have to worry about any chaos for the Democrats to glom onto and use it for their advantage. And that brings a question, again, why is Thomas Massey, knowing that Mike Johnson eventually will probably become speaker, why is he doing this, knowing, again, that there's really no other viable candidate, knowing that nobody's going to get anywhere near 218 votes besides these two gentlemen? Why is he doing it? And, it's really simple. When you have a chamber with 433 people in it, okay? 433 people, that's a lot of people. It's almost 500 people. When you have that many people and they're all in suits, and they all, have ties on and leather shoes, and they all kind of look alike. When you have a chamber, and let's even take the Republicans, when you have 219 people.
Will be called,
and
those responding to their names will.
Hold on. When you have 219 people, the easiest way to stand out is to oppose all of them. And now that Thomas Massey is standing out and opposing all of them, everybody knows who he is. Everybody's going to know Thomas Massey's name if they didn't already. He's the guy that voted no. And he's the guy who wants his fingernails pulled out. It's an easy way to get fame in a crowded arena.
Adams.
Here we go.
Jeffries. Adderholt. Johnson.
All right, 1-1.
Aguilar. Jeffries. Alford. Johnson.
All right, we're just going to wait for the big name. We're just going to see how many there are for others.
Johnson.
Oh, the Honorable Mike Johnson.
Amo. Jeffries. Amode of Nevada. Johnson.
Did you say Johnston?
Ansari. Jeffries. Arrington. Johnson. Auchincloss. Jeffries.
This is riveting, isn't it?
Johnson. Bacon. Johnson. Baird. Johnson. Balderson. Johnson. Ballant. Jeffries. Barr.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson.
Tom Barrett is next.
Benagan.
Oh, no.
Jeffries. Barrett.
Oh, here comes Aaron Bean's coming up.
Barrett.
Barrett, where are you at? Oh, you said Jeffries.
Baumgartner.
Did you say Barrett or Barrett? Mike Johnson.
Barrett Johnson.
Yeah, Barrett Johnson. Barrett's not voting for Hakeem Jeffries.
Barrett
Johnson.
Johnson. Baumgartner
Mike Johnson.
Okay.
Johnson. Bean of Florida.
Bean.
Mike Johnson.
Mike
Johnson.
Mike Johnson. I love the
Beatty.
enthusiasm. I love the Mike Johnson. All right, let's see what do we got. We got Andy Biggs is coming
Begich.
up. That's going to be consequential.
Johnson.
Let's listen for Andy Biggs.
Bell. Jeffries. Betts. Johnson.
We got Bergman.
Barra. Jeffries. Bergman. Johnson. Byer. Jeffries. Bice. Johnson. Biggs of Arizona. Biggs of Arizona. Biggs of South Carolina.
President Trump's endorsed candidate, Mike Johnson.
Johnson.
Wait a minute. Andy Biggs didn't vote? Oh.
Bilirakis.
Mumble, mumble, grumble, grumble.
Johnson.
All right, so Andy Biggs, this is telling.
Bishop.
Andy Biggs did not vote.
Jeffries.
We're not really sure what's going on there. I don't know if is he that. Is it? Okay,
Johnson.
Lauren Boebert voted for Mike Johnson. That's exciting. But Andy Biggs did not vote. We don't know if he was out in the bathroom or something, or if he was not there, or if he's there and he's not saying anything.
Johnson.
They will have an opportunity when it's all said and done to go back.
Pennsylvania.
They'll call all the people.
Jeffries.
They'll call all the people who
Rakeen.
didn't vote, and they will say, "Hey, do you want to vote
Johnson.
again? Or do you want to vote now?" All right. So the next one that could be consequential is Tim Burchett from Tennessee, because
Brown.
he's always one of those. He likes to
Jeffries.
vote against the crowd all the time.
Brownlee. Jeffries. Buchanan. Johnson. Budzinski. Jeffries. Burchett. Johnson.
Oh, Burchett.
Burleson.
Birch is on board.
Johnson. Bynum. Jeffries. Calvert. Johnson.
Sorry, I'm tweeting about Andy
Kamek.
Biggs.
Johnson.
Jack Kamek? Good job.
Carbajal. Jeffries. Carey. Johnson. Carson. Carson. Carter of Georgia.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson.
What's going on?
Carter of Louisiana.
Carson's a Democrat anyway, so we don't care.
Jeffries.
All right.
Carter of Texas. Johnson.
Oh, Andy Biggs is
Kassar.
hanging out in the back. He's waiting to vote at the
Jeffries.
very end.
Case.
Interesting.
Jeffries.
So he's just hanging out in the back. He's not going to say anything, and then he'll wait at the end. They'll call him again, and then he'll vote.
Caston. Jeffries. Castor of Florida. Jeffries. Castro of Texas. Jeffries.
See who else is coming up here that's interesting.
Shifterless McCormick. Jeffries.
Hmm.
Chu. Jeffries. Ciscomani.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Cisneros. Jeffries. Clark of Massachusetts. Jeffries. Clark of New York. Jeffries.
Hold on, I'm getting insider info from
Cleaver.
inside the chamber.
Jeffries. Klein.
All right,
Johnson.
So it looks like we should now.
Cloud.
There's going to be a lull. So a couple of the holdouts or a couple of the people
Cloud.
that we thought might. Oh, there's Michael Cloud. Where's Michael Cloud? Oh no.
Clyburn. Jeffries.
All right.
Clyde.
So here's what we got. We got Andy Biggs, and we've got Michael Cloud, who did not vote. Andy Biggs is hanging out in the background. He's going to wait till the very end.
Cohen.
He's not going to vote in order. He's going to vote at the end when they can go back and vote again. Michael Cloud apparently doing the same thing because I assume they're all there with 433 representatives. Tim Burchett voted for Mike Johnson, which was something that we were considering could be a holdout. Mike Comer, or James Comer rather, of course, is voting for Mike Johnson. So we've got 2 Republican holdouts, and then we've got, of course, Thomas Massie. I'm waiting for the Massie vote. I know a lot of people are sitting there, and if you're listening to the podcast, you're probably like, why am I listening to all of this? And I'm going to try to make it as entertaining as possible. But I do want to hear the Massie vote live. And I want to see who he ends up voting for, if he votes for anything. Now, again, here's my concern is that what's going to happen is Thomas Massie will also wait till the end, and so we're going to have to wait till the end to hear all these people. But I don't know about you, but I have nothing else to do. This is all I've got. This is all I've got on planned for my day. Well, that's not true. We have an Aces call later on. We may have to postpone that a little bit. I'm going to try to get any more. I'm going to try to get some more information too.
Jeffries. Queer. Jeffries. Davids of Kansas. Jeffries.
Mike, by the way, Andy Biggs is from Arizona. He's from Arizona's 5th district, and for some reason follows me on Twitter, which is weird. I don't know why. I noticed that the other day I was tweeting about him, and it said follows you, and I was like, oh, I should probably watch what I say. Then I was like, nah, to hell with it. I'm going to say what I want. Michael Cloud is from Texas. He's from Texas 27. And I don't know a lot about him, but he could potentially cause some problems for Mike Johnson as well. I want to bring up the list. Hang on here. 38 Republicans. Here we go. Here are the 38 Republicans. So Cloud was also. So here's the list of Republicans who have not. Well, so far it's just Cloud and Biggs who have not voted. But both of them voted against the spending bill that included the debt ceiling removal. I think they voted against both of them. Tim Burchett already voted in favor of Mike Johnson. Burkeen already, I believe. Did we miss Burkeen? Yeah, Josh Burkeen. He voted for Johnson. Burleson, Kamak, Cloud, Clyde, Crane, Curtis. Yeah, okay, so we're at Chuck Edwards. Did I miss Gosar? Oh, no, he's gone. Never mind. Oh, no, he's still there. All right. So Andrew Clyde also did not, from Georgia. So we've got 3. Okay, so we've got 3 Republicans who have not voted, and that's not good news for Mike Johnson. That's not good news for anyone who wanted to go out to dinner with their family a little later on today. It appears that so any of these people that wanted to go out and hang out with their family, doesn't look like it's going to happen because we've got 3 holdouts and we haven't even gotten to Massie yet. And we know that Massey's also a big no. So we'll see what happens. Let me go back to the list here. Mike Johnson, Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, no brainer. Mike Flood, Fleischman. By the way, the list online is a little faster than the list on C-SPAN, which is why you're hearing me. I mean, it's easy to predict some of these people, but also that's why you're hearing me predict some people. When Mike Johnson votes for himself, by the way, they'll applaud. That's always a thing too. Scott Franklin. Johnson.
Johnson.
Yep.
Friedman. Jeffries. Frost. Jeffries. Fry. Johnson. Fulcher. Johnson. Garamendi. Jeffries. Garbarino. Johnson. Garcia of California. Jeffries. Garcia of Illinois. Jeffries. Garcia of Texas. Jeffries. Gill of Texas. Johnson. Gillen. Jeffries. Jimenez. Johnson.
Aaron Bean just wrote, ouch.
Golden of Maine. Jeffries.
I wrote to Aaron Bean and I said, I have 3 so far that have not voted. He wrote, I'm not even tracking it. I'm on the floor. And I go, yeah, but you got a cell phone. But I said, yeah, here's what we have so far. Biggs, Cloud, and Clyde not voting so far. And he wrote back, ouch. So there you go.
Tony Gonzalez. Johnson.
All right, we're getting close to, oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene's coming up. That'll be fun.
Vicente Gonzalez.
There sure is. You know what's amazing to me? 435 sounds like a lot, but when you call out their names one by one, it really seems like a lot more, doesn't it? Like 435 or 433 people, you're like, that's a lot of people. That's a lot, but I bet if we call their names out, we could roll through it pretty quickly. It takes a long time to read 430, especially since they have to respond in turn with some kind of answer. All right, so here's what we have so far. We got 75 for Johnson. It looks like we've got 77 for Jeffries. We know that Jeffries isn't going to get we know that Jeffries isn't going to get the majority, of course. But at this point, we don't know if Johnson is either. Oh my God, just vote, dude. Yeah, just vote. Dude, you're taking too long.
The gentleman may respond by survey.
God, that's so annoying. It's so, look, I get that you want to like make yourself known and wave your stick in the air and all that kind of stuff, but when you get up there, just vote. You know, call a press conference later.
Green of Texas. Jeffries.
This is something that annoys me. There's plenty of time after the vote to become a celebrity. There's plenty of time after the vote to go out into the vestibule and talk about all these things. There's a ton of cameras out there that are going to be ready to make you a star. Why do you have to do it when everyone's voting? Maybe he heard me complaining about how
Jeffries.
Maybe he heard me complaining about how long it takes.
Johnson. Guest. Johnson. Guthrie. Johnson. Hageman. Mike Johnson.
Johnson, Harry Hageman. We all know her from Wyoming. Yay.
Carter, California. Jeffries. Herodopoulos.
So, Paul Gosar.
Harrigan. Johnson.
So Paul Gosar is also a not voting. Not a no vote, but not voting yet. Oh, they're showing some of the no votes now. Andy Biggs, Michael Cloud, Andrew Clyde, Paul Gosar.
Harris of North Carolina.
We got 4 no votes.
Johnson. Harshbarger. Johnson. Keys. Jeffries. Hearn of Oklahoma. Johnson. Higgins of Louisiana. Johnson. Hill of Arkansas. Johnson. Himes. Jeffries.
Oh, wait, I have 5 now.
Henson.
Harris didn't vote either.
Johnson. Forsberg.
Oh, So we have 5 not voting. Again, they could just be waiting till the end as a sign of protest. They could be waiting till the end because they want to vote for somebody else, or they could be waiting for the end and just not voting. Either way, it does. If you're there and you're not voting, that is a definite dig.
Johnson. Huffman.
All right, we're coming up on the Johnsons. That sounded weird.
Johnson. Hunt.
We're approaching the Johnsons.
Johnson.
Because I believe there's more than one Johnson. There's Mike Johnson. There's Dusty Johnson.
Isa.
Dusty Johnson. What a horrible. Isn't Dusty Johnson a horrible name? Is there another Johnson? Hank Johnson, I think, right? There's a lot of Johnsons in Congress.
Johnson. Jackson of Illinois. Jeffries. Jackson of Texas. Johnson.
Johnson. Here we go.
Jacobs.
Oh, we're almost there.
Jeffries. James.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Jayapal. Jeffries. Jeffries. Jeffries.
Oh, yay. Let's applaud because Jeffries said Jeffries. Yay. Hakeem Jeffries voted for himself. This is there's some weird traditions in Congress, and this is definitely one of them.
Johnson of Georgia.
Oh, here we go.
Jeffries. Johnson of Louisiana. Johnson.
Yay. Now we're going to applaud for you because you voted for yourself, too.
Johnson of South Dakota. Johnson.
Yeah, that's Dusty Johnson from South Dakota. By the way, Dusty Johnson is what Mitch McConnell's wife calls him. Sorry. Sorry, that made me laugh.
Johnson.
Johnson.
Joyce of Pennsylvania.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Kim Lagerdove.
All right, we're almost to the K's.
Jeffries.
And then after the K's come the L's. And then after the L's come the M's.
Jeffries.
And that's when we see what happens with Massey.
Johnson. Keating. Jeffries.
Jeffries.
Kelly of Illinois. Jeffries. Kelly of Mississippi. Johnson. Kelly of Pennsylvania. Johnson. Kennedy of New York. Jeffries. Kennedy of Utah. Johnson. Khanna. Jeffries. Kiggins of Virginia.
Where are we? We're coming up on.
Kylie of California.
I'm trying to look ahead and see if there's anyone else consequential who could
Kim.
be a problem.
Johnson. Not.
Mike Johnson. Okay, good.
Krishnamurthy. Jeffries. Custom. Johnson.
Okay.
LaHood. Johnson.
LaLota. From New York.
Johnson.
Yep.
LaMalfa. Johnson. Lanceman.
Oh, Nancy Mace is coming up in the M's. She'll be another interesting one, too, because she's also one that she held the line with Matt Gaetz against Andrew. I always say Andrew McCarthy, still to this day. Kevin McCarthy. Nancy Mace from South Carolina was one of the ones who held the line against Kevin McCarthy with Matt Gaetz and the rest of them to oust him, with Tim Burchett and everyone else. And she's also voted against the last 2 spending bills in the House, both the first one and the second one. And she just, and she's just Nancy Mace. So she may also be a holdout vote. They're showing her now on the screen. There she is. They're showing her. I think that's her, right?
Of Nevada.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get the camera on her for her vote.
Lee of Pennsylvania.
But it'll be interesting to see if she votes or if she doesn't vote, just like everyone else who's a holdout so far. To bring it back to you, we've got, as I see it, we've got 5.
Letlow.
Julia Letlow. We've got Andy Biggs from Arizona, Michael Cloud from Texas, Andrew Clyde from Georgia, Paul Gosar from Arizona, and Andy Harris from Maryland. Those are so far the 5 who have not voted. They didn't vote against Mike Johnson. They just were quiet, and they allowed the vote to go forward without them. This is a tactic. This is something that happens from time to time.
Johnson. Latrell.
We'll see what happens. I'm seeing what people are tweeting.
Johnson. Lynch. Jeffries. Mace. Johnson.
Mike Johnson. Let's see. Let's go through here real quick.
Johnson. Magaziner. Jeffries.
All right, we've got
Maliotakis. Johnson. Malloy.
Oh, Fox is reporting.
Johnson.
Andy Biggs is just standing in the back of the room against the wall, just doing nothing, just listening.
Jeffries.
By the way, I'd like to point out these people are all getting paid at the moment. This is their job. This is their job. I thought my job was fun. And it is, but this is their job. Oh, Massey went Emmer. Did I miss that? I did.
Johnson.
Oh, I missed it. Nancy Mace went for
Jeffries.
Johnson. Massey.
McBath. Jeffries. McBride.
Oh, I missed it. Massey voted for Tom Emmer.
McCall. Johnson. McLean. Mike Johnson. Johnson. McLean Delaney. Jeffries.
I can't believe I talked over the Massey vote. I also want to go back and hear it again.
Jeffries. McClintock.
Let's go back and hear it again.
Johnson.
Luna.
Emmer.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Matsui. Mannion. Jeffries. Lofgren. Jeffries. Maliotakis. Johnson.
Oh, I keep missing it. Hang on. Here it is.
Jeffries. Massey. Emmer.
Weird. All right, so his vote against Mike Johnson went to Tom Emmer. That's an interesting pick. It's a pick, all right. And so now we have 1 vote for Tom Emmer. We have 126 votes for Jeffries and 138 votes for Johnson, and 5 who have yet to vote. 5 who have yet to vote. So we'll see what comes of this.
Johnson.
Like I said, Nancy Mace voted for Johnson, so she was not a holdout. In fact,
Jeffries.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Miller of Illinois.
5.
Johnson. Miller of Ohio.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Miller of West Virginia.
Okay, there we go.
Miller Meeks.
The Honorable Representative and Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Okay.
Johnson.
Corey Mills, which way he's going to go? All right, Corey Mills goes for Mike Johnson. That's good.
Min. Jeffries. Molinar. Johnson. Moore of Alabama. Johnson. Moore of North Carolina. Johnson. Moore of Utah. Johnson. Moore of Wisconsin. Jeffries. Moore of West Virginia.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Moran.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Morelli. Jeffries. Morrison. Jeffries. Moskowitz. Moskowitz. Jeffries.
That's the guy from Facebook. I'm just kidding.
Moulton. Jeffries.
All right, now I'm waiting to see
Marvan.
who else. Who else could be a problem?
Mullen.
I guess we're just waiting on Chip Roy at this point.
Murphy.
Who Chip Roy, fun fact, is also in the back of the room, hanging out with
Jeffries.
the rest of the holdouts.
Neal. Jeffries. Nagoose. Jeffries. Nails. Johnson.
Okay. Oh, there's Kat Kamek. She's still on her phone. Thank God you can have a phone in the House of Representatives. I don't think you can take pictures or video, which is something that, I'd be fine with. So if I run for Congress,
Jordan.
and Jim Jordan, who was that? Why do I keep missing these? Oh.
None of Iowa.
The Honorable Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Obernolte.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Ocasio-Cortez. Jeffries.
Oh, wow. So,
Ogles.
what was that, Jim Jordan? So Ralph Norman from South Carolina
Johnson.
voted for Jim Jordan.
Olszewski. Jeffries. Omar. Jeffries. Onder.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Owens. Johnson. Pallone. Jeffries. Palmer. Palmer. Johnson. Panetta. Jeffries. Pappas. Jeffries. Pelosi.
The Honorable
Jeffries.
This is getting interesting. So we've got Thomas Massey voting for Tom Emmer, Ralph Norman voting for Jim Jordan, everybody else voting for Mike Johnson, except for Andy Biggs, Michael Cloud, Andrew Clyde, Paul Gosar, and Andy Harris.
Peters. Jeffries.
That is wild. Wow, how exciting. And Kat Kamek sitting right next to Ralph Norman.
Jeffries. Pfluger.
That's hilarious.
Johnson. Pingree. Jeffries. Jeffries. Pocan. Jeffries. Poe. Jeffries. Presley.
This is fun. It's fun to watch it on TV, follow along on the internet, and also be texting representatives in the building while this thing's going down.
Ramirez. Jeffries. Randall. Jeffries. Raskin. Jeffries.
Oh, he jumped up really
Richard
fast.
Waller. Johnson. Riley of New York. Jeffries.
What did he say?
Rivas.
All right, let's go back and see what we got here. We're coming up on
Of Alabama.
we're coming up on Chip Roy.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson.
All right, let me crank it up a little.
Rogers of Kentucky.
Mike Rogers says Johnson. That's a no-brainer.
Rose. Johnson. Ross.
Oh, we're coming up on Rutherford too.
Rouser. Johnson. Roy.
No vote.
Roy.
No vote.
Ruiz.
Oh.
Jeffries. Ruley. Johnson. Rutherford. Johnson.
Guys, Mike Johnson.
Ryan. Jeffries.
That guy's just so annoying.
Salazar. Johnson.
Johnson, okay, good. All right,
Salinas.
so we got through Roy.
Jeffries.
It looks like
Sanchez.
So we got 6 holdouts: Andy Biggs, Michael Cloud, Andrew Clyde, Paul Gosar, Andy Harris, Chip Roy.
Scalise.
Those are the holdouts so far.
Scanlon. Jeffries. Schakowsky. Jeffries. Schmidt. Johnson. Schneider. Jeffries. Skolton.
Oh, the hippos. Wait, what?
Jeffries. Schreier.
Shoot.
Jeffries.
Why did I write
Schweikert.
hippos?
Johnson. Austin.
Delete both. Okay, hold on.
Johnson.
Take two. Take two.
David Scott. Jeffries.
All right. Hold on. I'm posting this
Scott
quickly.
Virginia. Jeffries.
Chip Roy, done. Save. Okay. So that's 6 holdouts that we have so far. And we're going to post that up. So far, these are the... What happened? Why'd they stop? Oh, Representative Johnson does not have the votes to be elected speaker. Second vote expected.
Sewell.
Who voted? Oh, I missed it again.
Jeffries. Sherman. Jeffries.
Oh, yeah. So Keith Self voted for Byron Donalds. All right, that's it, folks. That's all she wrote.
Shreve.
There's 3 votes against Mike Johnson, which means even with the holdouts, it doesn't matter now. Keith Self voted for Keith Self from Texas.
Jeffries. Simpson.
Hang on, let me post this real quick.
Simpson. Johnson. Smith.
Too
of
many
Missouri.
votes against Mike Johnson, period. There'll be another vote, period.
Smith of Nebraska. Johnson. Smith.
Let me do a little breaking here.
Johnson.
Breaking.
Smith of Washington. Jeffries. Smucker. Johnson.
Speaker.
Sorensen. Jeffries.
Johnson
Soto. Jeffries.
loses first
Sparks.
round.
Sparks.
Not enough votes. There will be a second vote, period.
Jeffries.
Wait a minute. So Victoria Sparks voted for Johnson.
Jeffries. Stauber. Johnson. Stefanik.
Okay, well, I guess I know what I'm doing later.
Johnson. Style. Johnson. Stubbe. Johnson. Stevens.
Okay. All right, we got that posted. So we've got
Strickland. Jeffries.
Let me just double check this, make sure I
Strong.
didn't do anything dumb.
Johnson.
All right, breaking. Speaker Johnson loses the first round. Not enough votes. There will be a second vote. Keith Self voted for Byron Donalds. Thomas Massey voted for Tom Emmer. Ralph Norman voted for Jim Jordan. And that's it. He needs the 218 votes. He could have lost 1. Now it's all done. So it's not going to happen. And we have, I guess he could have lost 2 technically. It's not going to happen. So, and then we have those 5 holdouts as well.
Johnson.
So there will be another vote.
Johnson. Tanadar. Jeffries. Thompson of California. Jeffries. Thompson of Mississippi. Jeffries. Thompson of Pennsylvania. Johnson. Tiffany. Johnson. Timmons. Johnson. Titus. Jeffries. Talib. Jeffries. Takuda.
So basically,
Jeffries.
this
Tonko.
affirms.
Jeffries.
Hold on.
Torres of California. Jeffries. Torres of New York. Jeffries. Trahan. Jeffries. Tran.
So basically, what happened is at the beginning of this vote, when they were nominating Hakeem Jeffries, Paul Aguilar said he's the most he's the most powerful leader in the chamber, and clearly that seems to be the case because
Underwood.
it's not Mike Johnson. He couldn't rally his own caucus to vote for him to become speaker, even with the support of President Donald Trump. Which I wonder. Let me check Truth Social real quick. It's probably too soon for Donald Trump to have commented. He usually waits a little bit, although I imagine he's sending some text messages for sure. But Donald Trump has become
Van Orden.
Donald Trump has become a lot more patient in his second term, and
Jeffries. VC.
he's writing about the flag. So here's what happened. Donald Trump wrote 1 minute ago, the Democrats are all giddy about our magnificent American flag potentially being at half-mast during my inauguration. They think it's so great and are so happy about it because in actuality, they don't love our country. They only think about themselves. Look at what they've done to our once great America over the past 4 years. It's a total mess. In any event, because of the death of President Jimmy Carter, the flag may, for the first time ever during an inauguration of a future president, be at half-mast. Nobody wants to see this, and no American can be happy about it. Let's see how it plays out. Make America great again. So, something I hadn't thought of, but evidently Donald Trump has it on his mind. Because of the death of Jimmy Carter, the flag may actually be at half-mast during the inauguration, and the Democrats are just giddy about it. But again, I feel like he's the president. Can't he just order the flag to be raised? Well, he's not the president yet, but he will be. Anyway, so clearly Donald Trump not overly concerned about this vote, probably knew how it was going to go, knew that there was going to be at least one more vote. And what's going to happen now is when we're done, which we're in the W's. So when we're done with the vote, we're going to go back and we're going to see if any of the holdouts actually vote or see how they vote. And then they're going to adjourn. They're going to go back to conference and committee. There's going to be a lot of talking. There's going to be a lot of rumbling around. There's going to be a lot of, people. I don't know what that was, someone screaming. There's going to be a lot of texting back and forth. And then all of a sudden, they're going to be called back, and they're going to do another vote. And that second vote, hopefully there'll be more people voting for Johnson. But again, he's got that very slim majority, and he can only lose 2.
Johnson.
Was that Mike Waltz?
Zinke.
Oh, Mike Waltz isn't there.
Johnson.
Wait, is Mike Waltz there? Okay, so Ryan Zinke is the last one. Yeah, so there's 7 not voted.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from the Virgin Islands seek recognition?
Speaker, I have a parliamentary inquiry. I note that the names of the representatives from the Americas Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the District of Columbia were not called, representing collectively 4 million Americans.
Yeah, you're not called because you don't get a vote for Speaker of the House. This is another one of those protest moments where, again, I'm sorry that you're not a representative of an actual state, but that happens. All right, so we're gonna have a little. There's gonna be a little bit of grandstanding here, and then eventually.
Mr. Speaker, collectively the largest per capita of veterans in this country.
Does the gentlelady have a parliamentary
I asked
inquiry?
why they were not called. Have some respect. It's not going to take.
Order. You're out of order.
Gentlelady's recognized.
I asked why they were not called from the parliamentarian, please.
Delegates-elect and the resident commissioner-elect are not qualified to vote. Representatives-elect are the only individuals qualified to vote in the election of a speaker.
There you go.
As provided in Section 36 of the House Rules and Manual,
Perfect.
The speaker is elected by a majority of the members-elect voting by surname.
Okay, good. We got that. Thank you.
Body and this nation has a territory
Okay, goodbye.
and a colonies problem.
Oh, my God.
What was supposed to be temporary has now effectively become permanent. We must do something about this problem so that these
Turn off her microphone. Thank you. All right, good. All right, so now they're supposed to go back through. Stop yelling. So now she's yelling and screaming, and now she's going to walk out in protest. Or she's not. She's going to sit back down. All right, good. That was fun. So now they're going to go through, I believe, and they're going to call the names.
Clerk will now call the names of the representatives-elect who did not answer the first
Correct.
call of the roll.
Here we go. Let's see what happens. Oh, no. What happened? No.
President Biden.
Biggs of Arizona. Johnson.
Oh, Biggs voted for Johnson.
Carson. Jeffries. Cloud. Johnson.
All right, so now Cloud's voting for Johnson. So they were just protesting, waiting till the end. Now that they know he's not going to be speaker, it's safe to vote for him.
Clyde.
Did you say Clyde? He's not there? I guess he left.
Gosar.
Oh, I think he's still there. He's just not voting. Did he leave? Maybe he left.
Harris of Maryland.
All right, so Harris came in line for Johnson. Chip Roy. Chip Roy? Is Chip Roy in the building? Chip Roy?
Johnson.
Oh, Chip Roy came on board. Look at that. That's interesting.
Waltz.
Okay, so Mike Johnson, I guess Mike Waltz was just not there or not listening or not paying attention. This will be one, by the way, this will be Mike Waltz's, I think, one of his last votes. Or is he, I think he's resigning on January 20th, so he'll probably be around.
If there are any representatives-elect who did not answer the call of the roll, they may come to the well and vote at this time.
Okay, so the final tally, it looks like, on the first vote is 215 for Mike Johnson, 215 for Hakeem Jeffries, 1 for Byron Donalds, 1 for Jim Jordan, and 1 for Tom Emmer. So there you go. So you got nobody with a majority, and it's pretty even Steven between Johnson and Jeffries. We'll see what happens. There will be a second vote sometime, we assume tonight. But this is, oh wait, someone's coming forward.
Gosar. Johnson.
Oh, that was Paul. Okay. So 216 for Johnson, still not enough. He needed that 218, which he did not get to. But I'll tell you what, man, not too far off. Not too far. If you only got 2 votes to wrangle, and you know Tom Massey's not going to be one of them. Let's see what happens.
Clyde. Johnson.
Okay, so he's at 217. All right, so he's at 217. He needs 218. He just needs 1 more vote. Massey, Norman, or Self. That's all that's required. So we're going to have to do all of this one more time. We're going to have to go through all these names one more time. We're going to have to hope to God that we don't lose anybody. And he's going to have to do something to get either Keith Self or Ralph Norman to vote for him. 217 to 214 to 3. That was your first round of voting for the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the 119th Congress. That was exciting, wasn't it? Nothing like listening to a whole bunch of names being called over the course of several hours. And if you enjoyed that, wait until the second vote. Again, I assume it'll be sometime tonight. I don't think they're going to want it to linger. They're going to go away for a couple of hours. They're going to talk. They're going to have some lunch. They're going to get yelled at by President Donald Trump. They're going to go have to wheel and deal. And then they're going to go back into the room and they're going to do it all over again. And then after that, after that, it'll be exciting because what happens is then they can go out with all of their friends and family members, everybody who flew up to see them, everybody who was there to see them get sworn in as a congressperson. Finally, they'll be able to party down and take the photos, because that's what you do. You get sworn in as a congressperson, and then your kids come down, and your wife and your husband and whoever else, and you stand for photos. It's much like when your kids do a ballet recital, or my daughter just performed. She played guitar and sang at the Winterfest at her school, and then afterward we're like, we got to get photos, and she had to go back, and it was really embarrassing. Stand in front of the tree by the stage, get with her friends, all that. So that's it. The same thing it never changes. It's just like high school. After you get sworn in, after that happens, everybody wants photos with the fam. And so they're going to have to all wait and come back a little so they can take some naps, that kind of thing. And they can do that. But anyway, thank you. So listen, if you're new, I know we got a lot of people watching today. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, because we're not always just watching C-SPAN. We cover a lot of great stuff here. We have news every single day. We talk about Donald Trump, his agenda, how we're going to make it happen, how we're going to make America great again. We bring you the news from all over. A lot of times we bring you exclusive interviews, and I'm going to try to get some of these represented. We'll try to get Kat Kamek back on. We'll try to get Aaron Bean back on and bring you some of the stories inside the arena. Probably it won't be till after January 6th. But man, we got a big weekend. We need a speaker. January 6th, we're going to need to come together and certify this vote for President Donald Trump, because on January 20th, we are going to have an inauguration, apparently with a flag at half mast. Listen, if you're a Republican, if you voted for Donald Trump, the left is going to come after you. You need to cancel proof yourself. And it's really easy to do. I've done it. I've taught other people how to do it. I wrote a book about it. It's called Cancel Proof Cash Flow. If you use social media of any kind, guess what? The left knows about you, and they're going to come after you. They're not going to let up. They're angrier than they ever have been before. They're more desperate than they ever have been before. You need to protect yourself. And if you've got a business, or if you use social media in any aspect of your business, you need to cancel proof your cash flow and protect it from the big tech tyrants in Silicon Valley and the woke folk who are still out there pushing the cancel culture mandate that they have from their socialist overlords. It's really easy to get. Go to markk.com/cancel. markk.com/cancel. The website looks just like this. And you click this button right here, bada bing, bada boom, fill out the info. I'll send you the copy of the book. It comes immediately. Look, there I am. It's basically me again. And you get, this is great. There's a bundle. You get access to the audiobook and the ebook instantly delivered to you, plus a couple bonuses too. Just go to markk.com/cancel for your copy. And fun fact, there's also a link in the description of this video, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or Rumble. It's everywhere. You can click on that for easy access. Go do that now. And here's something that's really interesting. You can probably read the book. If you don't want to read it, you can listen to me read it to you, because like I said, I'll send you the audiobook as well. And you could probably get all that done before they come back and vote again on the next for the next speaker vote. You could probably get it all done here real quick. So there you go. Cancel Proof Cash Flow. Go to markk.com/cancel and get your copy right now. It's going to be a lot of fun. Listen, thank you so much for sticking with me on this extended edition of Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Thank you so much for watching the vote with me, because it's always more fun to watch people call a bunch of names and yell out the same name over and over again when you have friends and family and compatriots around with you, Kayetriots from all over the globe. I don't think we're going to live stream the next vote, but if anything interesting happens between now and then, we'll pop back on, or we'll at least bring you some kind of update via video or podcast or whatnot. So make sure, like I said, again, you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you set the notifications, because we've got so much work to do. We still need a Speaker of the House. We've got to swear in all these delegates, and then we've got to certify these ballots on Monday, January 6th, for President Donald Trump to become the 47th president of the United States. That way we can continue to fight, and win, and save the Republic. Thanks again. This was so much fun. Get your copy of Cancel Proof Cash Flow, markk.com/cancel. Click the button, fill out the information, get it downloaded immediately, read it, listen to it, love it, learn it, and learn how to create Cancel Proof Cash Flow and protect yourself from the cancel happy woke folk who are out there looking for you, and all conservatives who are spreading truth and freedom and liberty and, just being cool. All right, I'll see you guys later.